Hi, my name is Kirsty and welcome to Kirsty Knits and Sews. This is my podcast where I share about all the things that I have been making, and I have a lot to share with you today. I have some finishes, I have some whips, I have some things that I have bought or been given since I last saw you, and I have at least one, I was going to say one new cast on from May, but I did start and finish a couple of things in April as well. So I'm very excited. I also have some stats to share with you, and yeah, it's going to be a bit of a big episode today. So I hope you have a cuppa or a drink with you wherever you are. It's getting warm here today, so I have both a cup of tea. This is Fortnum & Mason in a cup that I made last night. Not the cup, but I did do this little design on it last night. We had a cup that I did this to when we were living in Australia, and when we moved to Poland, we gave the cup to a friend. And as soon as we moved to Poland, I bought this green cup as soon as I found a green cup so I could redo it. And the cup has sat in my craft closet for 4.5 years. So as I'm unpacking everything into our new house, I found it and I thought, this is ridiculous. Why don't I just draw it on right now? So I did, and I've been using it and I love it. I have special ceramic markers that you draw on cups with and then put them in the oven for an hour to set it. So I haven't tried washing this or anything yet. We'll see how that goes. But I do have tea in here. I couldn't bring myself to put coffee into my tea Rex mug this morning. And I do have iced coffee here, which, fun fact, Highland cow on there. We saw Highland cows yesterday. We went to a friend's house here in Tarnów in Poland where I live with my husband and my kids. And they took us down the road to see a cow, and the cow was in fact 4 cows, 3 adults and a calf, and they were all Highland cows, and it was so exciting. I love Highland cows, and we didn't see any. We saw some when we were in England while we were driving, but we didn't see any while we were walking, so that was very exciting to see yesterday here in Poland. All right, I am going to jump in. Let's do stats first, and I'm going to preface this by saying I am going to do a separate stats video this month because it is a third of the way through the year, and at the beginning of the year I did give some goals for myself, and so I thought checking in at this point would be a good idea, but that'll be a separate video. For the purpose of today, I got 11 skeins came into my stash in April, and 5 skeins went out of my stash. I finished 4 things, and I have 26 projects on the needles, not including blankets. And total grams used was 209 grams. And that grams is actual weight of finished objects, not accumulation of skeins and then scraps going to scraps, or only from full skeins. That is, like, I weigh my finished objects. 209 grams. So yeah, there you go. But for more deep dive into stats and what that looks like, watch out for that next video. That is going to be all about a check-in for stash and stats and figuring out where to go from here. All right, so that's that. The first thing I finished since I last recorded is I finished these Christmas socks. Now these are actually part of the 12 cast-ons day 10. I cast on 5 socks on day 10. Is that right? That's insane if that's right. I'm pretty sure it was 5 socks in the one day, and this was one of those pairs. So this is, I've got it written down as Christmas socks number 1. It is Trekking XXL, is this patterned, self-patterning yarn. And then the heel and toe I did black wattle yarn and fibre in there. I believe it's a Kanzea, no it's not, Gravelia colour, Gravelia sock base, and I cannot remember the colourway, but black wattle yarn and fibre no longer have hand-dyed yarn by them in their shop, and so I don't even know if the Gravelia base is still available. I'm not sure. But yeah, so Trekking XXL, and the colorway I do not have with me anymore. But I did start these. So the beginning of them, there is a vlog, 12 cast-ons. If you are not aware, it is a Knit Along hosted by Ange of Yarn and Yarns, where you cast on up to 12 projects between the Christmas Eve and the end of January the following year, and then you just work on them throughout the year. And a few people more and more are doing a cast on, which is actually a group of cast ons, and so this was one of them that I said there are 15 socks that I particularly would like to have finished as Christmas presents for Christmas time, and so that was one cast on, was what will be 15 pairs of socks, but I started 5 on the first day. So yeah, that is my first finish. I started them on the 5th of January and I finished them on the 8th of April, and they are 69 grams. And it's just a vanilla sock on Magic Loop by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady, size medium, and I do that on a 2.5mm needle. These were done Magic Loop. So that's why they took so long, is because they are my vanilla knitting and I haven't had much vanilla knitting time. But I brought these on the plane, and I actually think I finished the first sock on the plane, or maybe the following, let me have a look at dates. No, actually, I think I got to the toe on the plane, and then the following morning I got up and I kitchened the toe and cast on the next pair of socks, so that was fun. Yeah, so that was travel knitting first finish. The second finish that I have is the ones that I started on that following morning, and this yarn is in here. Let me just dig a little. This is, I don't know if I have the tag still. It is Dusk Melonvite, and I could be saying that wrong, but it is a self-striking or self-patterning yarn. These ones I have worn, so there you go. I do have 2 socks, and you will see they do match reasonably well. Now, the yarn itself was a big ball, and as far as I could tell, it had basically 2 pattern repeats throughout the entire ball, as far as I could tell. And I wasn't sure if they were exact or approximate, but when I got to the end of this, I'm just going to put this next one on over here. Let me have a look. Hold on a second. I think I only have 1 pair of sock blockers unpacked, so we're just going to put this on here. When I got down to the toe of this one, this is where it was going to keep going, and I didn't really want that as a pair of socks. I could have, but because the colours were so pale in the second half, aside from this pink, the rest of the colours were so pale, I thought it's just going to be quite different. And because I was doing shorties, because I was at a conference, I was like, why don't I just start a second pair of socks? So these ones, still vanilla socks on Magic Loop, but this one I did a 2x2 rib for the leg, and then I kept that going on the top of the foot. The heel flap and gusset, oh sorry, the heel flap and heel turn I did in hand-dyed yarn that was left over from the Advent, the Jane Austen Advent. So this was Moral Corruption or something like that, based on Mansfield Park. And my daughter picked this out. She said, you need this colour to go with this yarn. And I'm really glad she did. I love the bit of pink that brings in, pinky red. So I started here, I knit this sock, I cast on a second sock not to match, and again, vanilla socks on Magic Loop, but turned into a shorty. So this one, I think I did 30 rounds total for the cuff and leg. This one, I did 10 rounds for the cuff, 10 rounds for the leg. These ones I've worn and really enjoyed wearing them. These ones I haven't worn yet because I finished them, I want to say on the plane on the way back or somewhere around there. So yeah, I thought these ones I would wait and share with you unworn. But the first pair that I finished, I actually didn't take enough socks for the holiday, and so I knit them thinking, I brought yarn thinking I can knit myself some shorty socks to wear around because I don't have a huge amount of shorty socks, and I figured I would be walking and it would be warm. So I'm really glad I did that. So yes, I knit this one, then I went back and knit the second one here. And I don't know how much you'll be able to see it, but there is a slight difference, or maybe this was the first one. Anyway, there is a slight difference in progression, and so the toe of this one ended up a little bit whiter. And so when I got into this one, I had less of the white in the cuff, and it went into the pink before the heel. And so in this one, the pink is really just surrounding the heel. And then you get some more yellow at the toe. So if you look at that, you can see there is a difference in progression there too. Not in terms of order, but in terms of how much each colour goes for, and obviously more of the yellowy at the end. But yes, I can definitely see that that is a pair, and that is a pair, and it's really fun that I could get 2 pairs of socks out of the same 100-gram ball of yarn for myself with my sock shoe size. I'm a 38 European, probably like 7.5 US, usually around an 8 Australian, I think. So yeah, there you go. Lots of fun. And the ribbed socks here, remember they have 10 rows more for the leg. The ribbed socks took 51 grams and the non-ribbed took 47 grams. So I don't know if that is just a matter of the extra 10 rows for the leg, or if the ribbing itself takes a little bit of extra, possibly both. But yeah, so very excited for those 2 pairs of socks to be done. And so that one, the first one, I started the 8th of April and finished on the 14th. But remember, I knit half of the other pair in that time too. So I started the other pair on the 10th and I finished on the 27th. Actually, the first sock I knit in the second pair. I knit the entire sock in one day. I was just in a conference listening to people talk all day, and so yeah, an entire sock I knit in one day, but it's a shorty, so you know, it was a lot of sitting and not that much knitting. Alright, and that is all of my finishes. I will show you the other project that I took with me on holidays, to the conference and on holidays. And this is, I should show you this too. This is what I have left of the Melonvite. No, sorry, that one's not Melonvite. That's what I use for the heels. But this is what I have left of Melonvite. And so after I finished the first sock here, I wound off, there was another yellow section here, I wound that off so that I could start with the purple again here. And so once I finished, no, I'm going to say this is what I wound off. And when I started getting into the deeper purples, yeah, the yellow must be in the middle here. Yeah, now I'm throwing yarn around. The yellow must be in the middle here. So this is where I wound off to get back to the dark purple. And then the second sock, this is what I had left. So 2 little nuggets that I can either use in, I'll probably add one to Crazy Memories and then maybe do heels or some other scrappy project. I do like scraps. Alright, so yeah, I am going to show you the next project that I took with me away. But before I do that, let's talk about what I'm wearing. I am wearing the Salty Air Tee, which is by Samantha Guerin, and this is the one that I knit last year for the Tea Knit Along. So I'm currently hosting a Tea Knit Along. If you are interested in knitting a tea, whether you have a whip or you want to start something new, join on in. We have a Ravelry group, a Ravelry page discussion thread open where you can talk about what you're planning to do and show progress. We also have one for finished objects where you can post anything you finish. For the knit along, it is super low key. It's knitting, crochet, any gauge, any yarn, anything. Whips are allowed, new cast-ons are allowed, and you don't need to finish. So join on in. If you're not on Ravelry and you want to join in, then just comment below this video telling me what you're going to be working on, and just at the end mention I'm not on Ravelry and I'm keeping track of that separately so that you are still eligible for prizes. yeah, so this was sun-kissed, no, not sun-kissed, Salty Air Tea that I did last year, and I absolutely love it. It is knit in a 50/50 merino silk, and it's by Done is the company in Poland that dyed this. It is hand dyed. I absolutely love it, and I love the colour, and oh, it's just delightful. So I do have 3 more teas that I've been working on as part of that, and one of them is a new cast on. If you watched the Tea Knit Along intro video, then you will have seen that I was tempted by 2 new cast ons, and one of them did get started. So I'm going to show you that in just a few minutes. I do have another finish, and I don't have it with me because I've already given it away, but I'll put a photo up here. This is a cross stitch that I did show on my last normal episode where I was talking about what I was planning to take with me on my trip, and I did in fact finish the cross stitch. I had pre-organised to meet up with Ange from Yarn and Yarns because we both knew that we were going to be at the wool show at Wonderwool in Wales, and I was racking my brain. I really wanted to make her a project bag, but if you've been around, you know that we're moving and everything is packed, and I did have a little look around, rummage to see if I could find any orange fabric or anything that made me think, oh, this is Ange, and I couldn't find anything, but also my sewing machine was packed, all of my everything to make bags was packed, and I just went, this is not going to work in the time that I have before I leave. And so I did pull out, I got some fibre for her that is merino and Australian merino, and some Polish wool as well for her to try. But I also wanted to make her something, and I thought what better thing to do than to make her something while I'm traveling, because I knew I would have time to do some handwork. And so yes, I took this along. It had been started beforehand, but I took it along and I finished the cross stitch, and I went into a charity shop, an op shop in, I want to say it was Tewkesbury, and they had little pieces of felt in the op shop, and so I was able to buy one of them and finish it off properly before I gave it to her. So that was very, very special that I was able to do that. And I will share later, she also gave me a gift, which was very, very sweet and lovely of her. Yes. I was like, why am I getting into gifts? It's not, it's a finish. It's something that I finished, and I only have the photo to share with you. That's why. The other thing that I worked on while I was traveling, and I mentioned this, did I just move? Oh. Okay, the camera is on a table, but the table is on a rug that I've crocheted, and I have a feeling I keep moving the rug and that keeps moving the camera. So if we've had shaky cam this whole time, I'm really sorry. My foot is no longer on the rug. So this is in a bag that I made. How cute are those little birds? If you are interested in making a project bag, I do have a tutorial linked down below. It is 100% free. Everything you need to know about how to make it, including pattern and materials and everything, is in the tutorial. So if you're interested in making a bag, go check it out. It is zippered. It has a boxed bottom and a handle. So this is the Brioche Mystery Knit Along by Sew Sue Knits. Brioche plus Mystery by Sew Sue Knits. This is a pattern that I bought a long time ago, and I started this, I'm going to double check this, but it was, I'm pretty sure October. It was January. Okay, it was January 2023, 20th of January 2023. That's over 3 years ago now. This is my oldest whip. If we're not counting blankets, this is my oldest whip. And this is what I have done. Which side is the right side? This side is the right side. So this one is yarn that I had left over from another mystery knit along that I did, and I then bought some more yarn to supplement. So these 3 colours up here, I'm not sure if you can even see that clearly yet. There's a pink at the end, the blue and the brown were all leftovers, and I'm pretty sure, I can't even remember for sure now. I'm pretty sure that this is one that I bought to supplement, and the white I bought to supplement. I think these were my colours for the mystery knit along. So I had a medium, a light, a dark blue, brown, and a deep pink. So yes, when I started this one, I was like, I don't want it to look exactly the same, and I'm going to do it scrappy. And this you start over here, I believe, and you knit along this way until you have this, what she calls syncopated brioche. It is, I'm not going to go straight to fun. It is definitely engaging, and I did reach a point where I didn't have to read the pattern every single time, but I never reached a point where I didn't have the pattern next to me to check the beginning or what was going on. The pattern, it is by So Knits, and she does have like a little chart of the first repeat, this is how many stitches at the end of each part, the second repeat, this is how many stitches. And so you're definitely, it's repetitive enough that you do get into the flow of it. But like you start down here, this is where I was, this marker here is where I was when I went away. So I'd only done that much of the pink and white section, like about there, about that much, when I took it on holidays, or took it away. So that is a lot of knitting that I did while I was away. I did finish the first section, and then I finished the second section, which is the blue, brown, blue, and I've just started the third section, which is the pink here. The pattern is designed, I want to say, for 4 colours, and I'm doing scrappy, so I have more colours and I'm just going to be picking them and choosing them as I go. And so overall, all the colours work together. It'll be interesting to see how it goes. I am knitting it in Holst Garn Super Soft. This one is bleached white. The colour is bleached white. I also have, I mean, who knows what these are. This one is Glacier. This one is, I think, Vintage something. I think that one might be Damask. Yeah, I think the light pink is Damask, and I honestly, I don't even know. This is what happens when you knit with scraps. Sweet Pea. One of these is Damask and one of them is Sweet Pea. And Damask Sweet Pea would be my guess. Sorry guys, scrappy knitting, but it's all Holst Garn Super Soft. Yeah, this marker, when we were away, when we were at Wonderwool and I saw Ange, she was there with some of her friends, and the one who she was with when I ran into her, just bumped into her, was Kralalien of Colourful Creativity. And she had some little cards with her name and her website, and they had little stitch markers attached to that. And she gave me this one because I went to the show with my daughter, and my daughter was running around playing with pink yarn, being very, very sweet and cute. And she was like, I think your daughter would like the little wand, which she indeed did like the little wand. She took it straight from me and put it onto some fibre that I had bought, well, that she had chosen, that I was letting her play with, that I'll show you in a little bit. May or may not be felted by now. But she had a blast playing with the little stitch marker and the fibre, and yeah, it was just a very lovely highlight of the day. If you don't follow Ange or Kralalien, they have done a joint vlog of Wonderwool. I've watched Karalien's one, I haven't watched Ange's one yet. They kind of both took footage and shared footage, but then edited and uploaded them separately. And so I'm interested to watch Ange's and have a look and see how they differ. But yes, it was really lovely meeting Kralalien. Very, very lovely. So hi, by the way, if you're watching. I did go home and look her up and watched some of her one of her episodes. I think her most recent one. So yes, and now her vlog. Yeah, so that was my travel knitting. It is definitely not finished, and it is an entirely brioche based mystery knit along, even though it's not a mystery anymore. This is a mystery from years ago. It wasn't a mystery when I chose to do the project. It is an old one, but it's all brioche, so I'm learning new skills while I'm doing it. But yeah, when I started at that first syncopated brioche section where you're flicking back and forward, did my head in a little bit. And the next section that I just started is also syncopated knitting, but with a different design. So I've started, like I said, I've done the first row and I'm excited to do that, but I have been distracted by the tea knit along. So let's talk about my tea knitting. I had 2 teas on the needles before the knit along started. The knit along, I did say the dates, right? 1st of May to the 30th of June. So I did have some teas. Sorry, I'm just gonna have a sip of coffee. Oh, so good. Iced vanilla latte. I did have some 2 teas already on the needles when I started. And the first one of those is my sundial tea. Now, this one got no work for the first few days as a knit along. So I decided that instead of doing Scrappy Sunday with my linen soup wrap, which is what I've been doing so far this year, that I would swap out that for my Scrappy Sundial tea for Scrappy Sunday. And so I did pick this up on Scrappy Sunday and I finished the second stripe, which was the orange and yellow one, and started the yellow and green. And then the next day I was like, I just want to work on that again. And so I did do a bit more. So this is my sundial tea. It's a pattern by Wool and Pine Designs. And this is, I want to say the back. I think you start with the back, cast on the shoulders and do the shaping, and then knit across. And then the front is almost exactly the same. I think just a bit of different shaping. What can I say about this? I'm really enjoying it. It's mosaic knitting. It is simple enough once you figure out how the pattern works. It's like an 18-row repeat, but you do 1 colour for 2 repeats. And so the position of that colour changes. And so you'll be doing like the orange is the white, and then the second repeat, the orange with the black, or the other way around. So once you get your head around that, if you know how to do mosaic knitting, it's a pretty easy, simple pattern. I am doing it scrappy. It's controlled scrappy. I went through and pulled out a bunch. Oh, I'm just going to throw yarn around again. I'm not even going to get them all out. I'm just going to pull out a selection that I can carry. I just pulled out whatever kind of autumny greens, yellows, oranges, blues that I had sitting around that were the same kind of yarn. So it's all 75-25 merino nylon. And I think they're all hand dyeds. No, this one's not. Most of them are hand dyeds. And so all I'm doing is I'm working through, like I'll pick one out randomly, I'll add it in, I'll pick something out randomly and add it in. And so far, I think that's worked pretty well to get some different contrast in stripes. I'm really happy that this next one was a deeper colour, because otherwise it was just going to get very samey. But I'm interested to see how contrasty it ends up being and how low contrast. So far, these two tonal-wise are very similar, even though the shade is very different. The orange here and the green here are also very similar tone-wise. And so, yeah, I'm trying to figure out whether I do, which I guess means, no, they can't be too similar, because that would mean the green and the blue are similar tone-wise, and I don't think that's right. Maybe the green's not quite as dark as the orange, but it definitely had contrast to the yellow. Anyway, all that to say, if you do dark light, you will end up with a very 2D shirt. If you do things that are the same tone, like up here with the blue and orange, you just kind of don't see the pattern very well. And so I'm trying to do it random, but if I end up with too many that are the same in a row, I'll probably search through and find something to break it up. So yeah, this time the purple came out of the bag. I was very happy, and I'm really looking forward to getting back to working on this again. This is one of the ones that it's like, if I finish it in the knit along, I finish it, but either way, I just want to knit on it and make some progress. And I am very enjoying that, really enjoying that. That one I started, I want to say the middle of the year last year. I think that's, oh, actually I've got it written here. Sundial. Yep, June last year, 9th of June 2025. The next one that I have here was a 12 cast on from last year, and that the 12 cast on was spinning the wool. So this is hand spun wool, 100% merino, from Expressia Art, which is a shop here in Poland. They have a lot of commercially dyed yarn and then a few little bits of hand dyed, and so that was some of the hand dyed that they had, but I don't know if they dye it in shop or if they have it imported elsewhere, or if it's commercially dyed. I don't know, I'm not sure, but anyway, I got it from Expressia Art and did a fractal spin. The contrast colour, or the main colour I'm using for this, is Pinta, Pasquale Pinta. I have a feather in here. How strange. I'm going to pull this out and then I'm going to regret it later. Pasquale Pinta, which is a merino silk ramier blend. And this is colour 118. And it's this beautiful kind of dusty orange, burnt orange colour. I love it. And so together, it has this beautiful low contrast colour work. Now this is on very small needles, and so I'm gonna try and show you as best as I can without taking things off the needles. But that is my beautiful low contrast colour work. I did get a little bit concerned in this row here, just above the dark pinky purple one, that it was disappearing again. But as I was at the point where most of the row itself was the main colour, not the contrast colour, and I saw that the darker colours were coming up, I just went, you know what, I'm not going to change it. I'm just going to leave it, let the yarn do its thing here. I have mentioned before that twice before I have either ripped back or just broken the yarn and taken some out because I didn't have enough contrast. But yes, I haven't done that recently. So you can see here, maybe this is the flower, here are the leaves coming up here, and then down here we have a big flower, and so I'm doing the bottom petals, I think, of the big flower now, or I'm about to start the bottom petals of the big flower, and then there'll be some more leaves down the bottom, which the next colours that are coming up, I've got a bit of blues and then a bit of greens, and so I'm like, is the green going to come in for the leaves? But I don't think, I think it'll probably be before the leaves, or at least for just part of the leaves. So yeah, I am loving this. I know you can't really see it very well because it is just so low contrast, but I am loving it. And I'm just going to move that up before that happens. And that's where I was last time. So I've only done like an inch since I showed you last, but it's an inch of colour work, and I would say I've probably got another inch or two to go. I am a little bit concerned that it's going to be too long a yoke for me if I do the colour work the way it said. So I'm gonna measure. I've got another t-shirt that I'm knitting at the moment that I'm gonna measure as well, or maybe I'll look at the specs and see what they recommend, like how long the yoke should be before you split for the sleeves. But if it is too long, I'm just going to split early and then do the last part of the leaves colour work underneath the arm if I need to. Yeah, I think I'll do that if I am not happy with the length of it. The other one, I think this is already close to 8 inches. Yeah, this is about 8 inches. The other one that I'm doing says to split for my size at 8 1/4 or 8 3/4, which is what made me think this might get a bit long. But yeah, so this one I started the actual knitting September 29 last year, and my hope for this one is to finish the colour work soon and then knit away on the body with all of the easy knitting until it's done. And I am thinking for that one that I will do a cropped tee similar to the one that I'm wearing, which only goes to just below my waist, that I can then wear over dresses or skirts, like high-waisted skirts or dresses. I am loving it. Now, the next one that I have here is a new caster. I did start one of the tees that I spoke about in my tea knit along episode, and I have mentioned it to a few people already who I've been talking in the comments with, and I think I did share a photo on the Ravelry discussion group too. So if you've seen them, you'll already know, but I have started the V-back tee by, and now I'm going to forget her name again. Is it Jamie Hoffman? I will try to remember to put it on the screen here. If I don't put it on the screen, do check the comments below. I haven't mentioned this yet, but all the projects that I speak about here today, my project pages will be linked below. And so I just put the name of the project and then link my Ravelry project page next to it. So, yeah, but it is V-back tee. If I don't remember, look there. But this I am doing in yarn, which I picked up from a little wool shop, Ejeviania, I want to say, that I picked up in Krakow years ago, like 4 years ago when I was visiting, I think with my parents, at Footprints Wool Addicts. It is a 45% cotton, 42% wool, 13% nylon. This says polyamide nylon, so I'm wondering if polyamide is just nylon in a different language. I'm not sure. It's 400 meters, 100 grams, and it is, I don't know which one. I'm going to say maybe 2 is the color number, but I'm not sure which is color and which is dye. Anyway, this is what I have left of the first ball. It came pre-wound, and so I'm just pulling it from the outside, and this is what I have left because I have been knitting on this so much. This is the front and this is the back with the V, if you can see that. Yeah, I am absolutely loving knitting on this one. It is simple. I did not actually look at the tutorial to see if I'm doing the increases right. I'm just doing it based on what it said in the pattern. And there are times where I'm like, I'm not sure if that's actually correct or not, but I'm doing them consistently. So even if they're not right, I'm sticking with it at this point. But yes, so the V-back tee, I will probably wear it with the V at the front, but I'm not certain on that yet. And I'm loving it. I have, where am I up to? I'm actually at the point where I need to try it on and check whether or not it is low enough for me. I was watching Shauna Stitch's episode, most recent one, 2 ago, and she was wearing her version of this, and she mentioned that it kept bunching up under the arms and she doesn't wear it as much because of that. And she said she's not sure if that's because the split for the sleeves came too early or something like that. And so I thought, I want to try it on. It's not blocked. It'll change anyway, but I just want to try it on, put it on some try it on cord, try it on and see if I think it is a good place to split for the sleeves for me. And then if it is, I can get going with that, and if not, then I'll knit a bit further. This one I should have plenty of yarn, but when I was looking at the pattern, it did say for my size I needed more than 2 skeins, and I was between 2 sizes, so I went down to the one that I almost had enough yarn for. However, it still is more, it still required like 60 meters more than I had. And so I thought 2 options. One, if I'm doing it cropped, and this is, she has in the pattern instructions for cropped and full length, I think. And so I was already looking at the cropped one and it was saying it was not enough. And so I'm not sure if it's because the pattern is written for up to 5 colors. And so maybe there's like a bit of extra leeway in case like one of your colors uses more or less or something, I'm not sure. Or if it's just, yeah, it's a generous estimation, or maybe it actually just uses that much yarn, like it's a loose enough fit that it, I don't know. I'm not sure. Either way, I thought 2 should be plenty for a t-shirt for me. I see a knot in that. That's going to be annoying. The colorway, it won't matter. I'll just sew it in. It's just annoying. Yeah, so I'm not quite sure, but I figure what I'll do is when I split for the sleeves, I'll knit a couple of inches, and probably I'll then join the second ball and knit the sleeves with the second ball, and then come back and finish the body to the length that I want it, or I'm able to do with the yarn that I have left. But considering I'm wanting it cropped, like I'm not going to want, it should be fine, I'm not going to want more than 8 inches from the split, or maybe about 8-9 inches from the split down. And it's not going to be this much fabric because this is to go around here, not around my waist. I'm going to have plenty of yarn. Yeah, so that is my V-back tee. I'm very excited. We went out yesterday, visited some friends from church, and yeah, was able to get some work on this. We were sitting outside on the balcony in the sun, looking over beautiful, beautiful mountains, listening to the birds, and I was knitting away. So I made a lot of progress at a point where the pattern was quite simple. I just had to do the increases and decreases every other round. And so it just made the simple, easy knitting fly by. And now I'm up to the point where I need to take a moment today and figure out the next part. So yes, that is the V-back tee. This is in a bag that I also made, but this I bought a pattern for. It's a round bottom drawstring bag, and I can't tell you who it was because I made it 7 or 8 years ago, and I do not have that information anymore. Actually, I do want to look it up because I still have the patterns somewhere and I'd like to make some more because they're really cute, but oh well. Okay. That is not all my whips. Nope. I have 3 more. This one I'm going to show you quickly. I remember mentioning it on the last episode and I don't know how much I've knit since I showed you. So this is the Wanna Have Fun mystery knit along. You know what, I think I'm in exactly the same place, maybe a couple of rows more. So I'll just show you quickly. This is the Wanna Have Fun mystery knit along. I'm doing it in hand dyed, left over from the most recent advent that I did a swap with some friends. So this is all Jane Austen themed. And yeah, I'm pretty sure I'd finished this colour and had done maybe a row of the grey. And so maybe I've got like an extra row of the grey done or something. Yeah, I was working on this a lot before I went away, and I did pick it up one morning since I've been back, but clearly did not do much on that. So anyway, the Wanna Have Fun knit along, I will link it below because I did show you, but it is finished now, and so if you're interested you can go have a look. I haven't seen spoilers, I haven't looked at the finished product. I will keep working on that as I have time over the coming months. The next one that I have here to share with you is another one from my day 10 of 12 cast-ons, which is the Fox socks. Fox's Day Out, maybe. So I'm pretty sure I showed you this last time, where I had the colour work finish and I was working on the foot. I've done the contrast heel, working on the foot. The cuff, I dyed myself. The blue is also hand dyed, the pale blue background. The orange is Drops Fable, colour 110. And, oh, I just turned on a light. Whoops, sorry guys. And the other one, I want to say is Opal. Yeah. It's a fun self-striping, self-patterning. It's Opal Beauty and it is colour 11304, and that's a little hint of how it knits up. So this pattern is by Charlotte Stone of Stone Knits. I have her first book, which is Charming Colourwork Socks. I do not have her second book, which is Joyful Colourwork Socks. It is on my wish list, I believe. But yeah, this one was an independently published pattern, and so I bought this one and a couple of other patterns of hers, and I've already knit one of them, the Toadstool Socks, and I've got this one and the Squirrel ones on the needle at the moment. So yes, I think I had done all of that last time I showed you, but what I did was I went back and I started the second sock. And some of this, I don't know if I'd actually started the second sock last time, but I definitely have knit some since I've been back. So you can see there I finished the trees and I've just got the ears poking up here. I'm doing it this way because once I'm on the foot, I'm just doing it vanilla. I have modded the pattern. Did I follow it at the top? I'm not sure what the cuff is, but basically what I've done is I've done my normal cuff, I've followed the pattern for the colour work to the bottom of the trees, and then I've decreased down to the normal amount of stitches I would do for this person, and I'm knitting the foot, the rest of the leg and the foot according to how I would knit every other sock. So really, Vanilla Socks on Magic Loop by Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady. So what I'm doing is I'm getting the second sock to the same point, and then it's basically I've got a pair of vanilla socks that I can knit with, take with me and knit wherever I want. And it also means I can get rid of the extra balls of yarn from this bag, because this bag is really too small to hold 4 balls of yarn or 3.5 balls of yarn. Yeah, so it's all squishing in here, but I'm looking forward to being able to put 2 of the colours away and just knit. I think I will do toes in the orange as well, but even if I don't, I can get through the heel, and then I've just got 1 ball of yarn with these socks. So yeah, this is another bag that I made, and I do have here Knitting is My Therapy that I got from Hobby, I believe. I believe it was like a, if you buy enough, you get something free, or you can buy something with points or something. And so I got Knitting is My Therapy because it really is. There is a lot of evidence out there these days about how good knitting is for you in terms of regulating and calming, and it definitely does that for me. So yeah. All right. That pair of socks. The last thing that I have worked on, which you may or may not laugh at me, this is in a bag that my son decorated for me at preschool, and this is my temperature blanket. Now, I'm not going to go into full details about everything with my temperature blanket, but I will show you the pattern that I'm using. It is a free pattern, and it is called 2-panel bias knit blanket. It is a free pattern by Red Heart. Yeah, Red Heart. And I basically, like, it's 2-panel bias. I have modded the pattern to join as I go rather than doing 2 separate patterns and then seaming them up. and I have done my own figuring out for colors and everything. I've got, I think, 5 degrees Celsius per color, and I'm using a particular website that has historical weather, and wherever I'm living, I go back every month or so and I do every day the highs and lows for that month. And so this side is lows and this side is highs, and I will have one blanket entirely done. Now this one, I went into a lot of detail, so I'm not going to go into all the detail, but I did have a thought last night that I would love to do the same thing another year, not this year, another year where I do Poland and Australia, and I do the highs for both countries, or at least the place that I live in Poland, the place that I was living in Australia, and do the highs for both, so that I can get a contrast of Australia and Poland. I think that would be really fun. But I really, for this one, wanted to see highs and lows because we get very cold here in Poland. So these solid dusty blues here, that is minus 15 degrees Celsius or lower. And you can see that that has popped up quite a few times in January. I am now in February. I did not do like a plain knit row or something in a different color to delineate months. I completely forgot until I was 5 days into February and I went, nah, not gonna bother. But I love it. This is fingering weight held double. It is delightfully squishy. I'm gonna love using this blanket, and I am really enjoying knitting it because it is just garter stitch basically. Increases on either side, and I do have the information of how I'm joining it as I go. So that's what it looks like on the back. I'm joining it as I go. All that information is on my Ravelry page. I originally had sewn in all of my ends before I did the second panel, and there were a few places that it did not work very well, and so now I'm leaving all my ends hanging there until I've knit the second panel up to where it is, and then I'll sew in the ends over the top or in between to make sure that there's no holes. However, I am also carrying yarn as I can. So I've got 3 temperatures attached at the moment. And so when it's, I think, more than 4 days of not using a certain temperature, I cut it and I'll tie in the ends and I'll come back and pick it up again later. But at the moment I'm doing a fairly changeable section. So I have 3 attached at the moment and I'm loving it. Now, like I said, I've just started knitting February and we're in May. So my plan is to, I'll show you my little thing. I have all of these little month trackers that I got from Temu. And so I've got, I write the highs and lows of the temperature for that day, and then underneath I've got over here my key, and so I write the numbers yarn that correlates to those temperatures. And so then the next month I've already done, and March I've done a couple of days. So I need to go back and write a lot more temperatures in. You can see that this is all quite messy because when I did the numbers, I did them around the wrong way. I put the highs on the left and the lows on the right, which when I was then knitting meant that I was knitting all of the highs onto the low side. So I went back and I changed that, and then I ripped back the rows that I'd done and started again. So I was doing that last night. I really wanted to work on something big and squishy instead of picking up a t-shirt again, because I had worked on, I probably knit 2 inches, 3 inches on the V-back tee yesterday while we were out. So I really wanted to work on something a little bit more meaty, and this one definitely satisfied. I watched Devil Wears Prada last night because my friend has asked me to go see Devil Wears Prada 2 with her. And I have only seen Devil Wears Prada once, and many, many, many years ago. So I was like, yes, I'll come to the movies with you, but let me just rewatch the first movie again. And I have to say, I liked it better, but the reason I didn't like it the first time was the whole, yeah, the illusion of affairs and the difficulty with work over marriage and things like that I just found really difficult, and so I still didn't like it, but I didn't have quite the same visceral reaction that I had when I was 18, 19, whatever it was the first time I watched it. So I still didn't like that part of the story, but could appreciate the movie overall a bit better, I think. All right. So that is all the things that I've worked on, but I do have more to show you. I said before that I have some things that I have purchased that I wanted to share. Oh, actually, no, that's not all I have to show you. I have spinning to show you. Oh my goodness. I have spinning to show you. All right, so let me show you some spinning, which is related to purchases. All right, let me pull this out. I have this in a little bag by Knit with Sis. This is a Polish brand that do they sell 3D printed things? I'm not sure. I did a workshop with, I'm going to forget her name now, that's terrible. I did a workshop with one of the sisters on Turkish spindle spinning, and this spindle came with the workshop with the bag as well. But I don't know if they actually sell the spindles in the shop. Their shop, from memory, is project bags, leather accessories to go with knitting, so like leather knitting needle cases. Like they have a really lovely knitting needle case for circular needles, which is very unusual these days. They also have like leather needle books, they have pouches, they have where is it? I used it and I didn't talk about it. They have stitch markers and stoppers, and I've been using them over here. So let me just show you quickly. Like these little leather stitch markers are from Knit with Sis. So yes, I really enjoy their products, and I've really enjoyed getting to know, I want to say her name's Marjana, but I could have that wrong, but the sister who does spinning. I met her through a spindle class. So anyway, that's what this is. This I got ages ago, and I'm not a huge fan of how thick it is at the top for spinning, but I've used it a bit for plying, and it's still good, and it's definitely big enough for plying bigger things. However, while I was at Wonderwool, I bought this beautiful spindle, and I believe it was by IST Crafts. Oh no, don't do that, Kirsty. Luckily spindles are somewhat used to being dropped. I will link them below. I absolutely love this spindle. It is made from bog oak, I believe London bog oak, which has been dated to over 5,000 years old. And basically it's wood that's been in a bog, and therefore anything that's preserved when it's pulled out gets cut down, and this man sources some of them and then turns them into absolutely beautiful spindles. So while I was at Wonderwool, I was interested in buying a couple of spindles because I cannot buy them in person in Poland. The wool shows that I've been to, I haven't seen like handcrafted spindles anywhere. There is somewhere online that I know that I can get them, but I like to be able to feel them in person. And that's true. Like almost every one of this gentleman's ones that I picked up, I was like, this is beautiful, and I would be happy with almost any of them. They're beautiful. There was another place that I went that I also, and I can't remember their name, but I did buy a spindle from them, and there were some that I liked better than others. And so yeah, just being able to go and see in person was a huge privilege, and I'm so thankful. And so I did buy some little fibre minis, and so this is entirely spun and plied on this spindle. I'm not, like, it's a quite loose spin. It is, I couldn't tell you anything about the actual fibre in here because I don't know. It was kind of a mystery mini. But I would say definitely there's some silk based on the luminance as well as the way that it's spun. I would say there's some silk, but I don't actually know what it is. It was just really fun, and it's about 9 grams, I think. And then this is the other one that I spun on this one, and then I plied on the big one just to see. Did I? Or did I do it the other way around? Maybe I plied this one on the big one and plied this one on the small. Yeah, no, I must have applied this on the small one because it's tiny. So this one I spun on the small black one, and I plied on the big one. And this one I spun and plied on the small black one. And I have to say, I enjoyed the experience of plying better on the small one, but I couldn't fit any more than this like 10 gram bump on it. And so I can definitely see me in the future spinning on the small one and then plying them together on the big one. I didn't skein this one up because I wanted to show you the little turtle. I love it. So these were both mini skeins that I bought from the Shepherd's Hut. They had a suitcase full of minis that were, I think, £1 each, or 5 for £4. And so I bought some, and I said to my daughter, who came to the wool show with me, you can choose a couple as well. And so she did. These are the ones that she chose. She definitely likes sparkle and pink, and I believe these are the two that she walked around with, playing with for most of the rest of the show. So when it comes to spinning them, they may be slightly felted, but I will still spin them and probably then knit something for her with them. They were all, like, all of them are probably slightly felted. They were all in a suitcase and people were just rummaging around. So they definitely weren't, you know, carefully wrapped in plastic or anything like that. However, I loved the experience of being able to go through and search myself for things that I really wanted. And I don't really mind. I was a little nervous when I started, and I just pre-drafted the fibre, which meant like pulling it out slightly, and it spun beautifully. I had absolutely no problems. I think maybe once I had to pull off something that I was like, that's not going to spin well, but generally it spun. Oh, sorry guys. Generally it spun beautifully. So I'm not worried when it comes to all of these how they will spin. Yeah, but I do, yeah, I had a lot of fun, and I'm enjoying spinning different fibres, and they're all, I think, I weighed a few of them, they're between 8 and 12 grams each. And so yeah, just a bit of fun to do a little spin on a spindle, and I will do that. I will spin all of those on my spindle, and then I'll see if I can find something to knit with a whole bunch of 10 gram minis. I completely forgot to show you another one of my projects. So let me show you this one quickly before we move full on into acquisitions. This is with Hobby Christmas Sock Glitter, and it is colour number 2. I'm not a huge fan of this yarn. I bought a lot of it because I thought how exciting, and it's glittery and Christmassy, and I've knit my son's socks with some. I've held it double with other yarn and knit some DK weight socks. This one I am just knitting by itself. The yarn itself is a little rough, and I think it's made to feel rougher by the gold in it because it is quite a thick gold. But my son, who does sometimes have sensitivity issues with things, loves the socks that he has out of these, and he wears them all the time. And so I figure if he can wear them, then it must not be as rough on feet as it feels to my hands. So I am knitting another pair This is also part of my 12 cast-ons of Christmas, and I think I've called it Christmas sock number 3, nice and original, because I've already finished 2. So this is, I think, cast-on number 6 for day 10 of 12 cast-ons. It's part of my day 10 of 12 cast-ons. And I started this, I believe I started it while I was away, maybe on the plane on the way back, or at the airport on the way back. And so that one I've knit while traveling and a little bit since I've been back, but I'm almost ready for the toe, so I should probably not put that back into travel knitting and get the toe done and start the second sock, and then it can sit until later. The other thing that I have been working on spinning wise is I have started a new support spindle spin. Now this is also new fibre and a new spindle. I really want to just spin this for you because it is beautiful, but I won't do that because it's still attached to the fibre. But you can see beautiful subtle colours and some naps. This fibre I got from the Shepherd's Hut. It's mixed fibre roll-ags, so I can't even tell you what is in it. But they are beautiful little roll-ags, and there were 8 in the packet. And the spindle. I don't actually know the name of the shop that I bought it from, which is terrible, because I bought this and I bought, hang on, I bought a spinning bowl, which I loved because Kralalien bought one as well, and she had some white inside and I got one with the dark inside. I don't have any metal tipped spindles, support spindles. I only have wooden tips, but it is beautiful, and I did try it with a wooden bowl and I tried it with this one, and I decided I liked the spin with the, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's a stone inside. So this was handmade by the man who owned the shop, and this one, I think it was Laburnum. This one was made by someone else in Wales who cut down the tree, made the spindle. I kept the tag somewhere, but I don't know where it went. Anyway, absolutely stunning, beautiful, spins like a dream. I'm still learning how to support spindle. And so I've been using like little bowls that I picked up from secondhand shops or, you know, whatever. And so having something that is this shallow and beautiful has made a big difference. And so I'm excited to go back to my other spindle and try that again with this bowl. The other thing that's made a big difference is properly prepared fibre. I keep trying to do spindle spinning with fibre that is not necessarily properly prepared, and I can say that because I'm doing it myself. And so having a nicely prepared roll-ag, even though it's got silk and neps and bits in it, I'm finding it delightful. So this, I haven't been doing much on my wheel or anything on my wheel since I moved to a new house, because I just haven't got it in a place where I can use it in the time that I would normally spin. So I'm considering doing like a 15 minutes of spinning a day with my support spindle so I can get the hang of it. Yeah, and I think next week at church we have a craft group, which I'm very excited to go to. And so I thought, well, I was thinking of taking knitting, and my husband keeps telling me to take spinning. So I may take another one of the minis with my bog oak spindle to that. All right, I'm going to move this all over here. And now I'm going to talk about, actually no, first let me show you what Ange gave me. So Ange, I've been watching her podcast for a couple of years now. We've been chatting a lot, especially around 12 cast-ons, because she's one who came up with that knit along. And it was really, really, really lovely to see her in person, to see you in person, Ange, if you're watching. Hi. Yeah, it was really lovely to see her, give her a hug, look at her beautiful sweater in person, and just have a little bit of a chat. And she very, very kindly gave me a bag. This is an Emma Ball bag. and I love her bags, and I've never actually owned one, so thank you so much, Ange. And she filled it, or she had a few other very special things to go with it. She did give me some tea. I love tea, so I'm very excited to try that. Echinacea, elderberry, black currant and raspberry. She gave me a little postcard with a note on the back. And then I love this. Another little Emma Ball stitch marker, but a hand spun, hand woven mug rug. So this is I saw her talk about it briefly. Maybe it was on her Instagram. She mentioned that she was doing some completely hand spun weaving. But yeah, so this is all her hand spun, and she's woven it by hand, and it's a little mug rug, and it's orange, which obviously Ange loves orange. And so this is so special and so delightful for me. So thank you so much, Ange. I've been keeping it very special and to the side until I could record this, but now I'm going to go put this next to my chair and I'm going to use it because, oh, it's so good. Actually, I need coasters for this house, and I do not have any because our last house we didn't need them. And so this one will be well loved and well used. And the other one that she gave me, which I thought was very, very sweet, is some Cartreff yarn. So obviously she is Welsh. She lives in South Wales, and so she got some Welsh yarn for me. This is non-superwash Welsh DK, which is 66% Welsh mule and 33% BFL, Blueface Leicester. And the colours, watch me try and speak Welsh. Natriol, Fdom, and Fjorest. I have no idea. Natural something and forest, I'm gonna say maybe. I cannot speak Welsh. I loved seeing Welsh on all the signs, but I cannot speak Welsh. So yes, I thought that was so sweet of her to give me some yarn, and I'm so excited to make something. These are 20 grams each and 41 meters, so DK weight. So if you can think of anything that I could use these to make that would make a whole project, or something that I could use 3 minis in, DK minis, it's just so beautiful. Let me know. Look at that, the heathering in this natural color. Let me know. I really want to knit something with these. Yeah, so that was my special gift from Ange, on top of the gift of meeting her. It was so lovely to meet her and Kralalien, because they were hanging out together, and that's how I met Kralalien. So thank you. Thank you, thank you. All right, the rest of what I have to share with you today is things that I have bought. Now, I want to say a couple of things here. First of all, I'm not going to show you everything that I bought on my trip to England and Wales. I did buy some gifts, which I'm not going to show you, and I did buy some yarn to make gifts, which I'm also not going to show you. And if you've been around for a while, you know I don't normally show things that I receive or that I have bought. The reason I'm doing it this time is because I went very specifically looking for not merino bases. Merino is everywhere in the knitting world, and I love merino and I knit with merino all the time. But as I've been getting into spinning, I've been wanting to try things that aren't just merino. And here in Poland, the wool that's available for spinning is either merino or Polish wool. And Polish wool doesn't usually have a breed breakdown. It's basically just, it's being grown in Poland. And so I really wanted to try different breeds and different blends and try things that way. So I am going to share about some things that I bought, most of which is fibre. There is a little bit of yarn in here. If this is not something that you're interested in, that's totally fine. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you next time. But I'm going to share with you because as someone who, I learnt to knit probably acrylic and fluffy fibre, and I got into merino, and now I'm getting into other breeds. I just find it really fascinating to see and hear about different breeds. And for an example, I've heard a lot about Rambouillet, and some people don't like it because it's quite chalky. and other people like it because it's really soft like merino. I actually got to feel Rambouillet in person at the yarn show, and I hated the feel of it. I was like, there is no way I'm going to enjoy sitting and spinning this at a wheel. So I didn't buy it, which really surprised me. I thought, people don't like it, I'm going to buy it anyway and give it a try. Nah, I hated the feel of it. So there you go. All right, so the first thing that I will show you, actually these two are, okay, no, they're not merino. This one is Cozy Kitchen Fibres. It's hand dyed in Devon, and it was named after a town, Burton on the Water. Now that is a town that we visited, and I ran into the wool shop there, which is Burton Yarn Basket, and so I bought this one, and it is superwash British soft, so it's BFL and nylon instead of merino nylon, which is what I'm used to. So I thought, what a great way to try. And then they also had this one, which was dyed in Burton on the Water, and this one is just straight BFL. And this is named Hidcote or Hidcote, which is in the North Cotswolds. So this was dyed where I was for a different town, and this was dyed near where I was for the town I was in. So I thought, what a great little pair. And this is 100% BFL, which you can also use for socks, and I've done that before and they've held up fine. And so I thought a 50-gram skein here I can also try and knit socks with. And I thought, what a great little comparison, BFL nylon, to see how well they hold up next to each other. Yeah, so they were some local yarns that I bought. The other one that I bought that is a sock yarn is an 85% Polworth 15% nylon. Now this one I bought mostly because it was in the sale bucket, but also it was Polworth. I wanted to try a Polworth sock. I've never done that before. Yeah, it feels lovely. It's a fun colour. My daughter in this shop was begging me to buy a kit for making socks. And I was like, I'm not buying a full kit. I don't need the pattern. I just need yarn. So I got this one, and it was from the sale bucket. The other yarn that I bought, I think this is all the other yarn that I'm going to show you, the rest is fibre, is this one, which is Wood Note DK. And this is a BFL Masham Merino. So 34% BFL, 33% Masham, 33% Merino. Now, I've never used touched felt Masham before. To me, that was completely new. And I was like, yes, I want to try it. This one I picked up from, I think it was Fibrology, which is a yarn shop in Chipping Norton. Now, if you're a Clarkson's fan, Chipping Norton is where Clarkson's farm is. And so we went to the town, did some op shopping, went to the market, went to the yarn shop, and then we went over to Clarkson's farm shop, bought a couple of things there. He had very good sausages. His sausages were delicious. And then continued on with our day. But I was really interested for this. They didn't have enough for me to do a full sweater. I would love a sweater in this colour. Sorry, I just realised it's getting a bit darker because the sun has moved to the top of the house. Yeah, I would love a sweater in this colour. It's this deep olivey forest green. But they didn't have enough for a sweater. And so I didn't even buy all they had. I think I just bought the two. I think they had three. I think they had three in this colour, maybe four. Probably only three. And so I bought two, and my plan is to do a shawl. Now at this point, I knew nothing about Masham. But then I went and bought this from the John Arbon like ends bin. They have a giant thing of just broken tops or leftover bits of other things, and so I bought a bunch, and I'm not going to show you here, of different blends. I did buy one of their Corriedale broken tops bags, which is just leftovers that aren't in good condition, and then they had some in little bags that were perfectly fine, just not a full 100 grams. So they had this for Masham, and it was 57 grams. And so I'm not even sure if I can show you this well. I pulled it out at the show. My daughter wanted to stop and eat an apple. And so I pulled out my new spindle and I pulled this out and I just did a little bit of spinning. And it was so loose and like kept pulling apart. And I was like, this is very different from what I expected it to be. And I looked it up and apparently it's a long wool breed. And so I did a bit of research. I was like, well, that explains it. But then when I got home and realized that this was Masham as well, I was like, that's really funny. Like this is a little bit of luster in here. Like it's not super soft because it's quite long hair, but it's still like, it's decent. And so yeah, I was like, how cool is this that I've got the plain and I've got a blend. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna spin this up plain. I'll probably blend it with something instead. But again, I wanted to explore breeds and that was a really fun way to do that. And now I know a lot more about Masham. And yeah, I think I'll probably blend it together. From what I spun, I'm not going to enjoy spinning it by itself. And I'm also not sure what I would use it for if I spun it by itself. But yeah, so a nice little foray into different fibres here. Oh, and this is Bahrain, by the way, if you're interested. Bahrain would note DK. Very excited to get a shawl going in that one. All right, I also, this one wasn't at Wonderwool Wales, but I was in Tewkesbury and they had a market on and I found yarn at the market. I was very excited. The dyer is called Inner Fleece. And so I bought one of her braids, which is 100% Polworth. Again, this is just a matter of me wanting to try different breeds and I've never spun Polworth. I think I have like maybe a 10 gram or a 5 gram bump somewhere just for me to actually try it. But I thought this will be really fun and can do quite a pale yarn. I tend to go for quite vibrant colours. And so I thought that one could be a nice contrast to something else that I'm knitting. And then I believe, is this also Polworth? Yeah. So then when I was at Wonderwool, the same shop, Siobhan's Crafts, which had, I don't even know if I said it was Siobhan's Crafts, this one. Same dyer. Can you see the colour similarities? She had a whole bunch of fibre hanging up and I said to my daughter, you can choose any of them. I did check that they weren't all merino and she chose this one based purely on the colour. So that's another Polworth for me to try. The colourway is Mermaid's Paradise. And again, I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but if I spin it up, I'm sure my daughter would love it in something. Okay, so I also got some Devon Close Wool from John Arden, which is another breed specific top for me to try because I've never tried that one. And I also got some Romney. So again, just wanting to try different breeds and see what I like and what I don't like. And that is them by themselves. This next one is Wild Welsh Wool, Sharon Smith. And it is Welsh Mule Roving 100 grams. This one, they had sheep at the show. And my daughter stood and patted the sheep and had a great time with these sheep and she tried to feed the sheep. It was delightful. And so while she was playing with the sheep, I had a look and they had a whole bunch of unwashed fibre, they had a whole bunch of washed fibre, and they had a whole bunch of processed fibre. And this one was one of the processed fibres. And it is a Welsh Mule Roving. Now, I wish you could feel this. It is delightfully soft and squishy. Now, the Carthraff yarn from Ange also has Welsh Mule in it. And so I hadn't opened that until after I bought this, but I'd never heard of Welsh mule before, and I had no idea really what it was about. But this is delightfully soft. And so then when I opened the one from Ange, I was like, oh, this is so cool that I have 2 lots of Welsh mule, one to spin and one to knit already. There you go. There's a little stamp on the front there. So yeah, this is, again, just an experiment to see what it's like spinning it. When I have spun these things, that could be a while, I will just figure out what to make with them once they're spun. I'm not spinning for projects at this point. I'm just spinning to learn about spinning. In the same vein, I did go to Hilltop Cloud, which I thought was a bit funny because Ange and Kralalien both also went to Hilltop Cloud and shared what they bought. And I'm pretty sure Kralalien had almost this exact gradient, but potentially in a different colour, in a different base, I'm not sure. So this one is the Cormo base, and Cormo is a crossbreed between Merino and Corriedale. Oh no, she got Cambrian. This is Corriedale. This is Cormo, sorry. So this is a Merino Corriedale crossbreed. But again, I've never spun Cormo, very excited. And I love Merino, I love Corriedale, so I'm excited for Cormo. And I'm thinking I'll probably do a fractal spin there just because I can. I did also buy some Cambrian wool in these beautiful browns, teals with pops of pink and purple. Love it. And this is BFL and Welsh. So, yeah, Cambrian wool. I'm just reading what it says on the side. Cambrian wool selects the finest fleeces from the central mountains of Wales and has them processed into combed top and worsted yarns. So yeah, BFL and Welsh, which I presume is Welsh mule, but maybe not. So some more Welsh to spin, this time mixed with BFL. I bought this one, which is 90% South American wool and 10% viscose tweed neps. So some purples and teals. This one, I actually went back to Hilltop Cloud. I bought a couple and then I left, and then I came back and bought a couple more because there was someone else I wanted to buy a gift for. But yeah, I saw this and I thought, actually, I've never spun South American wool. And even though it's not, I mean, it may be South American sheep living in Wales, but I'm assuming it's South American sheep who live in South America. But either way, I was like, I've never spun it, and what a beautiful way to spin yarn that I've never spun before. So yeah, very excited to try that too. And then the last one I got from Hilltop Cloud is these beautiful mustardy brownie colours, bits of green in here too. And this is Superfine Shetland. I spun, was it 200 grams of grey Shetland that I finished earlier this year, I want to say, and I absolutely loved spinning Shetland. I am currently in the middle of spinning, I think it's a Shetland silk blend, and I say in the middle, I'm probably a quarter of the way through that spin, and so when I went back and I saw these colours and I thought they are just delightful colours, and then I saw it was Shetland and I was like, you know what, I have spun Shetland before, but I've never spun hand-dyed Shetland, and I know I really like Shetland. So this one's actually Shetland from Jamieson and Smith, sourced direct from the Shetland Islands using only sheep who live on the islands. See, I hadn't even read that before. How exciting is that? All right, so I did get some Shetland, but as we've discussed, I love spinning Shetland yarn, so that's very exciting. And then the last one that I will show you is I got some of the, I don't know if you pronounce Dow Dog, it's the Wonderwool 20th anniversary colour from John Arbin. This was designed by Beks, who does a lot of spinning and has Tiny Fibre Studios, I believe, on YouTube. She's on Instagram, and she designed this colorway, and I love the colors in here. the way that they had it spun for the yarn that you could buy was basically they split it down to the deep, the pale and the blue, and then they applied those three together. So each, like the blues, the peaches and the deeper pinky purples are still blended colours, and so you kind of had three mild colours that were then mild together, applied together. I wasn't a huge fan of that. The overall colour was nice, but I wasn't a huge fan, and so I'm not sure with this whether I will just spin it as it comes and have just a completely heathered mild yarn, or whether I'll split it into the three and spin them separately and ply them separately and end up with 3 30-gram minis that I can then use for colour work in the same project. So I'm not sure. And I couldn't even tell you what blend this is because I don't have that information here. But yeah, I did buy some John Arbon because I've wanted to try the yarn for a long time. And shipping to the EU is difficult, so I was really, really excited to get that. All right, that is a lot of yarn and fibre. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say goodbye in a second, and then I'm going to record my stash video. So if you want to have some more thoughts on all of this, stick around for my stash video or watch that when it comes out in a couple of days because, oh boy. All right, but no, I'm excited, and I did go wanting to get different fibres to try, different sheep breeds and different blends, and possibly a spindle, which I was very excited to get those two. And I didn't want to get a huge amount of like already spun yarn because I definitely have a lot of yarn. And so aside, like I think I just showed you everything I bought that I didn't buy as a present or for a specific present. So yeah, not bad. But again, that was all about breeds, not just, oh, that's a pretty colour, let's buy it. So yeah, I'm very, very happy with the things that I chose to get there. And honestly, that's probably going to be most of my incoming fibre for the year because I'm not planning to go to another wool show, and the wool shop that I have near me is only if I absolutely need something for a specific project, really. Yeah. So anyway, if you stuck around all this time, thank you. I am, yeah, really excited to keep going on my t-shirts. I do want to work some more on my temperature blanket because since I got that out last night, I just want to do all the squishy and to do some more spindles. I will, I think, skein up. I haven't even washed the minis that I showed you, so I think I'll skein it up and wash those two. Or maybe I'll just leave them aside until I've spun some more. I don't know. But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back to some of these things, and as I'm cleaning up the house and putting things away, hopefully I will have a bit more time for crafting coming up. Yeah, so thank you so much for being here. If you are a spinner, I would love to know what your favourite wool to spin is. Obviously, I'm not planning to buy any more anytime soon, but for future reference, what is your favourite wool to spin? If you're not a spinner and you are like knitting, I'm assuming, what is your favourite wool to knit? I remember thinking kind of everything was merino 4 or 5 years ago. I think I thought everything was either merino or scratchy. And now I'm learning that there is a world of wool out there that is between merino and scratchy. So yeah, I'm interested to know what's your favourite kind of wool. And as always, I would love to know what you've been working on or what you've been doing while you've been catching up with me today. I love hearing about your projects, but I also love hearing if you've been doing the dishes or folding, washing, because that is a lot of the time what I'm doing when I'm watching podcasts. So, or cooking dinner. It's another one of my favorites for watching a podcast. So yeah, let me know what you've been doing while you've been joining me today. And I will see you again, hopefully in a couple of weeks. Happy knitting. Bye.